Today we're talking about seedlings. What are the top 5 tips we recommend for amazing seedlings? So point number 1 is your seedling mix. This is really important for healthy seedlings. If you don't have the right potting mix or seedling mix with the right nutrients in it, your plant is not going to be healthy, it's not going to be happy, and it's going to maybe discolor. Maybe you'll have purple leaves on your tomatoes, maybe it'll be wilty, it could yellow, it could have different color veins, and all these things can be signs that it's not getting the right nutrients. So in our mix, we make sure that everything is in here that seedling can need. And then even later, we are adding more amendments later if needed, but you have to start with the base. Make sure that your starting mix is key. So we're here with all of our different amendments. Up on the wall, we have a list of all the seedling mix and what to put in for how much to the mix that we use. And it might be different for you. This is what we use. And I'll show you some of the amendments here. We have a detailed video about actually mixing all of this together to get it ready for the seedlings. And you should take a look at that. The link will be in the description. This is alfalfa. This is a meal version. You can get pellets or you can get meal. The meal is easier to work into your actual potting mix. And this gives nitrogen. It gives a little bit of organic matter, but it's mainly for the nitrogen, which helps your plants to grow nice and healthy, gives them the protein they need, and makes them nice and green. We actually use borax. This is for boron. It's almost 100% boron, and it needs very, very little. So we add a tiny little bit of this to our seedling mix. We also use something called green sand. This just gives a balance of a bunch of different minerals. It doesn't take a lot. Some of these are very trace minerals that we're adding into our seedling mix, but they're all really important. This is Dolipril. This is an organic, basically calcium lime. It's pelletized, so it's easier to use. But you can use high calcium lime, you can use dolomite lime, any sort of calcium rock is going to work because your plants need calcium. Just like you need calcium for big strong bones, to make big strong plants, you need calcium. This is kelp meal. That's what's in this bag here. And this adds a ton of trace minerals. It helps with the immune system of the plant. I forgot to mention, that's a big part of boron is the immune system of the plant. So if you want a good immune system, your plants need a good immune system. That helps them to be insect resistant, disease resistant, good immune system. Kelp adds all these different micronutrients, different minerals, because kelp is from the ocean. All the minerals wash into the ocean and the kelp absorbs it. So these are some basic things that you need to keep in mind. If you have a healthy, well-balanced seedling mix, you're gonna have really healthy seedlings. So the next thing is timing. And this has to do with a lot. When you're planting your seedlings, when you start planting, when are they gonna go out into the field? Because this all affects when you're actually starting your seedlings. Now on here, we mark every tray. So we know exactly which plant is planted where and when exactly that plant was started, what amendments it's had, all that information is tracked, and it'd be really good for you guys to learn how to do this. You can start simple. Every year you add a little more. So we mark with ABCs going down the months. And we do that for a specific reason. Instead of just using the month, we use letters because of how we're numbering everything. So for instance, January is A, February B, March C, and then we put the tray number. So an example would be February, which would be B, and then the tray number 32. That's not the day, that's the number of tray that month. Because maybe we've started 200 trays in that month. And then we can check B32 and see all the information. What's the date it was started? What is, now we know from glancing at it what the month was, which is about roughly all we need to know from a glance. If we want more information, we can go to the book that we write everything down. But timing's critical. When is it going into the field? That'll determine how much before then you need to actually start your seedlings. Now, we'll show you on some of the trays. So here's an example of Moscovich tomato. This is kind of a slicing tomato, and it's C38. So I know exactly the number of this tray, and we even write the date. It's March 6th. And the reason we start at March 6th is because of when we need to put it into the greenhouse or out into the field. These are going directly in the greenhouse. They're not going in the field. We have other tomatoes like Manitoba that are going to be going into the field because they're more of a determinant bush type instead of like this, which is going to grow better in the greenhouse. Now you need to know, when is your last frost date? When is it safe to put the tomatoes into a cold greenhouse? Because at night, it's still going to get really cold if it's cold outside. So this date is really important to know for your area. I can't tell you when that will be. You'll have to do a little bit of trial and error with that. See how long it takes to maturity. Then see when you want that fruit ready and how big you're able to actually have the plants before you can put them in the field. So we'll go look at some other trays to see some different examples. Okay, so here's an example. This is Walla Walla onion. This is one of the first things we start because it needs the most amount of time to get to maturity. And you can check that with whatever seeds you're getting, the days to maturity. So this is Walla Walla, it's B26 and February 27. We have right here, this is a Salanova lettuce mix. This was started March 3. It's number C10, Salanova mix. So we have a beautiful mix of green salad bowl or like a butter head, but the Salanova variety. We have red butter, and then we have the leafy green Salanova. Pot size. This is really important. If you don't have the right pot size, you're going to be just totally suffocating your plant. They're going to run out of nutrients, they'll run out of root space. You could stunt your plant, and then when you go to transplant it, it's going to take weeks for its roots to recover. So on the far end, we have the onions. They are actually in a paper pot, which is very little soil, but that's okay because onions early on are very slow growers. And only once they're out in the field and they get older, then the root starts to really get big. You still want to take note that you're not keeping them in the paper pot too long or in that small space too long. But for onions, you can go very small and they're okay. Next, we have a 72 cell plug tray. And this actually has beets. There's one seed. Now with beets, there's actually more than one plant in every seed cluster. So it looks like you're planting one seed when you could be planting 3, like is right here or here. It can be anywhere from 3 to 5 plants in each seed. Now these are not going to stay in here long because beets get big roots. This is for early beets that we're going to transplant into the greenhouse. So once these get to a certain size where the root is strong, the plant has some true leaves, and once we have true leaves, we got a little bit more strength in that plant. Then we're going to put them out into the greenhouse. We have these tomatoes that are in these large soil blocks. So these, for instance, this is Brandywine. We have them in these large soil blocks. We're trying a few different sizes of these because over here with the Moscovich that we seen a little bit earlier, this is in one size smaller soil block. And this is typically okay. these will still get quite big in here and be totally healthy. They'll probably get to be 6 to 8 inches tall and be totally fine. You have a lot of condensed nutrients when you're using a soil block versus a tray. Back here, these are all cabbage, and we have them in a 6-cell tray. There is 6 of these in each tray, so there's 36 plants per tray. These are going to get a decent size before they go out, so we're using a little bit bigger tray for them. We wouldn't use something like a plug because that's going to be way too small to support the size that we want these to actually be before they're going out, because the leaves are going to be quite big. These are going to look very full by the time we actually transplant. So you want to keep all of that in mind. With the lettuce, these can be in a 72 cell plug. Some people even do them in the paper pots. And then you're transplanting early because this is a very quick crop. These were started March 3, and we already have this beautiful little lettuce head starting in here. And they're going to be going out fairly soon, maybe in a week or two, into the greenhouse, and going to be actually harvested by the time, or close to the time, these tomatoes are actually going into the greenhouse. But keeping all this in mind, if you put tomatoes in a plug tray, by the time it's this big, it's already being crowded there, because you want good root growth in order to have big fruits. The roots are really important to plants, especially when they're fruiting. They need a lot more roots. Squash need even larger pots, especially if you're waiting for them to get to be big plants. If you start things in maybe an open tray, just sprinkling the seeds, and then you want to transplant up to a larger size, you can. That takes more time, more effort, can cause shock to the plant. So it's nice to be able to start straight in the right size. Not everything will germinate, and then you'll have some empty spots. But depending on what you're doing, depending on your ability, you're going to want to choose one method or another. You could start your tomatoes in a plug and then pop the plugs out early and put them into a bigger pot or into a big soil block. These are all things you're going to have to try, but you don't want to be crowding your plant so that it has its compressed roots, because it's not going to want to grow out once you transplant it into the field. So the next tip is temperature. We use a lot of forms of temperature because we want to make sure our seedlings are not getting too hot or too cold. We have a real thermometer here. We use these temp sticks. These actually give a notification to our phone if it gets too hot or if it gets too cold. These are amazing, especially at night, so we don't have to sleep in the greenhouse at night. Then for a cheaper option just inside, we want temperatures on all the different areas of the greenhouse. These are great. They have an inside temperature, which is the temperature right where this is sitting, and then an outside where there's another little temperature reader that we keep in different places. So knowing what temperature is really important. Under your germination rack or germination station, wherever you're doing that, maybe you have heat mats, maybe you know, there's different ways. This is what we use. This is a rack. We have the plastic that folds down, stays humid, it stays hot. And our temperature typically is between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. And we find that's a good range. Some people are more exact than that. If we drop too far down, the germination is going to take longer. You do have risk if it gets too cold that seeds could rot because they're wet and they're not germinating quickly and they're just going to rot or mold. So keeping it at a good temperature and good humidity level, not too humid, but a good humidity level is fantastic. You get quick germination, high percentage of germination, and then as soon as it's germinated, we take them out and we put them in one of two places. In the rest of this section here is the warm side. This is where the fireplace is directly in this side of the greenhouse. Our peppers, our tomatoes, things that like heat is what's in here. Then in the colder side, we have all our brassicas, our onions, our kale, our cabbage, our lettuce, things that like it cooler. And if they get too hot, they're actually going to bolt. So It's really important to cater to the different kinds of plants. If you can't, because you have all your seedlings just in the house or in one small greenhouse, that's okay. So temperature is really, really important to having amazing seedlings. The last point is monitoring. You want to monitor your plants. You want to see what they're looking like. You don't want to start them, then leave them for a couple weeks, not know what they're looking like, not checking their color, not checking, the water level, overwatering, underwatering. You want to make sure that they're growing at a good rate. If nothing's moving, it's not growing, and there's a problem. And if you look at like these peppers here, they're all uniform, they're bright green. These ones just popped out not that long ago, so they're not very big yet, but they're healthy, they're happy, the color's good, they got bright color. If you have yellowing, if you have purpling, take care in that. Check your temperatures, check all of these things. And don't just monitor and take a mental note because you're gonna forget. Write it down. We have a booklet that we write down all the notes for what we're doing. So every year there's improvements. And the better you get, the more you don't know, and the more you don't know, and then you can ask better questions and do things better. You want to do the good practices again, and you want to modify the bad practices so that you can improve every single time. Now we have one bonus tip, and that is feeding. Feeding is really important for your plants, and this is all throughout the season. If you want really strong plants, feeding is something that can really set you apart from a lot of other people. We use a lot of different things for feed, anything from raw cow's milk to alfalfa meal to kelp, all of these things, and we amend them differently on the different plants. We're coming out with an entire video called "Why is Your Plant Starving?" And you can check that video out to learn more about feeding and how to tell the signs of when your plant might be starving and needing some extra food. So this has been our 5 tips for amazing seedlings. If you like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're dedicated to helping people learn how to homestead, how to prepare for things that are coming. There's a real reason why a lot of these skills are going to be important for a lot of people. Because if you can't buy food, if you can't access good food, you need to know how to grow it and how to grow it well so that it can feed you and your family and keep you healthy. This food is real food. It is healthy food. It's nutritious food. It's a lot different than all the genetically modified, chemicalized food that you're getting at the store. Grow your own food, grow your own happiness, and grow your own health. Thank you for watching How to Country, and we'll see you in the next video.